Welcome back, everybody. Max Scoville here for IGN. We are live at E3. I'm with Sean from Insomniac Games, and you're showing off Ratchet and Clank.
We are, yeah.
This is the rebooted kind of like revisit.
Yeah, this is the new Ratchet beginning.
And this is the game based on the movie based on the game. That's kind of the picture going for here.
That describes it perfectly. It is a sort of reimagining of the classic from the PlayStation 2. What we've kind of done, we've borrowed that spirit that everybody loved on the PS2, and we've brought a lot of the things that we've learned through the Future series in the PlayStation 3. We've also lined it up with the feature film that's coming out next April.
That's awesome. And like I know that one thing that like, you know, when Ratchet and Clank first showed up, like it was like this is a cartoon. Like this is a cartoon video game that looks like, you know, a movie you'd go see, you know, and we're at a point where the line between like a CG movie and a game are like, it's pretty blurred. This looks incredible.
Thanks.
What are you guys doing here? Like, what am I looking at?
We are in Metropolis, and Metropolis is actually the first thing we ever built for Ratchet and Clank. You know, maybe back in 2000. It's funny that you said that about being able to play like a feature animated film. Like that was what people dreamed of doing all the way back then on the PS2. And so, like, getting to see this is like, I mean, you see that convergence. It has like the visual fidelity, sophistication of a feature film. And
there's just so much stuff going on in the background here.
Yeah.
It's fascinating because it's still like it's a fun game. Like all ages can jump into this and play around. You're gonna jump and you're gonna shoot stuff, right? Like it's fairly straightforward, but it's like there's so much stuff going on around you. How did you guys like approach that? Like did you? This is, you know, for all intents and purposes, kind of a reboot. Like, how close to it the original is it?
It started. So we started. You know, when the movie came up and we started working with them on that, we were just kind of thinking like, what makes sense? You know, what kind of Ratchet game would go well with this? And we knew we couldn't just do an up-res. And you know, like a remake, I just don't think that that's what fans want right now. And so what we started with was this sort of reimagining. And kind of the thing that we said is that it's a curated Ratchet and Clank. You know, we're huge Ratchet fans at Insomniac, and so we're going to put together like the best first Ratchet. And what sort of happened along the way is just as the game evolved, you know, it got bigger. We added, you know, new weapons, new levels, all kinds of new stuff, and it really started to feel like this, like a really fresh, you know, new game.
Yeah.
Completely.
How many people on the team have worked on the original?
There were, I think, probably 15 to 20 people, which is amazing. And so you have folks like that. You have folks that worked on the original, and then you have people like me. Like I was drawn to Insomniac because of the Metropolis demo from E3, I think in 2001 or 2002, and I remember playing that just being like, this is the most amazing thing. Like, how can I get a job at this place?
That's so cool. I mean, like, because obviously, like, you know, any creative people, they're going to make the most incredible thing in the world, and people are going to be like, this is great, and then they're going to be like, nah, the hair in that part right there is messed up, you know?
Yeah,
so, like, this
we
is
all
actually
do
a
that.
chance to revisit that.
It is, yeah, for some of that, and you know, it is challenging because we love that game, and you know, so you're trying to honor the spirit of the original and just capture that in just the right way, but at the same time, you know, find all of those things that you want to kind of elevate to the next level.
Now, like, this is a modern game. Like the original one came out, was it 13 years ago?
Yeah, I think it was 2002.
Yeah, like, games have changed a lot in that time. Like, what do you find is kind of the most noticeable shift you had to make in terms of like just mechanically speaking? Like,
well, there's been so much evolution in shooter controls between then and now, and so it's really funny to think in the original Ratchet you couldn't really aim your weapons, and in fact, the original Ratchet, they weren't even called weapons; they were called gadgets. They just happened to shoot bullets and rockets and stuff, because now we think of Ratchet as this, you know, perfect synthesis of platforming and shooter. But when you introduce the modern controls into something like that, there are all these. There's this ripple effect, and so many things change. You know, enemy AI has to change. Their attacks, the layout of the environment. You know, we add cover to it. So, I think just those little changes, just those little upgrades, have really like kind of pervasive effects on the title.
Obviously, you know, like Ratchet and Clank is like a, you know, classic game, and there are I'm sure people who, you know, played it as kids who are now like they're, you know, it's locked into that childhood memory at this point.
Yeah.
How much new content would you say there is? And I mean, aside from like aesthetics and controls and stuff, like.
You know, like, I think that fans, like, people that really know the original, like, for example, we just saw the train. There was a train in the original game. That's all. That's where the comparison ends, though. Like, the thing that we've done with this, it's changed so tremendously over the years. And so, like, what we're playing right now, this level Gaspar, this was in the original, and it was actually the smallest level in the original game. And so what we're kind of going through now is part of that original piece. But what we saw here, we saw the opportunity to add this huge exploration area. And so what we're going to show you is completely new. We're going to take a grind rail.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And Gaspar is like this lava planet. And we thought we thought it was a really good fit for what we've started to call an exploration planet in Ratchet. And that's something that we introduced later in the series, but it's really an area where we kind of throw out this open-ended objective to people, and they can solve it however they want. It's kind of like an open-world sandbox for a Ratchet and Clank game. And we thought it was the perfect fit for Gaspar. And it's huge, like how much we've added out here.
Oh, cool. So, like, can you get back on the grind rail and head the other direction?
Yeah, you can go back and, like, the original segment, again, like, fans will kind of see, like, oh yeah, I sort of recognize this layout and stuff, but, you know, when you ask, I don't think that there's anything that we haven't touched, you know. Oh, there he is. So this guy is like one of my favorite new characters in Ratchet.
Okay.
He's actually like probably like one of my favorites now. He's these guys are the Blarg, and they're sort of the bad guys in the game. But this guy is a little bit more like evil than evil, and he wants you to go out and collect brains. Amateur neuroscience, as you can see, is his passion, like many of us, so many of us. And so you have to go out there and collect brains from telepathopi.
Okay.
Which we'll see. We'll see them in a second. And I should also mention, like, the game is hilarious. We have like an hour of cinematics in it. And it was written by the longtime series writer T.J. Fixman.
Okay.
And even, I mean, I was playing through last week, and I still laugh at these silly jokes,
That's
especially
awesome.
Captain Quark.
And like TJ's also writing the movie, right? Like,
TJ did an early draft of the movie. Like, he was involved in that. But he wrote almost everything that's in this game.
How closely are you guys working with the movie? Because this is kind of cool. Like, we've seen a lot of really bad video game movies because somebody just kind of comes in and they take the rights and they go off in a corner somewhere and they're like, yeah, it's a Mila Jovovich in a corset. Like, what? Okay, fine. But like, you guys are controlling the message here, and you're kind of making the game according to that.
Well, we've been really lucky to be involved from the beginning. You know, Blockade and Rainmaker. Rainmaker's creating the movie, and Blockade's the producer. Like, they really wanted to hear from us, like, what makes these characters special? Like, why do people love Ratchet and Clank so much? And I think what they've done so well in the film is to show that origin story the right kind of way. Like, there's a moment, and I think it was in our teaser trailer, where you see Ratchet and Clank shake hands for the first time that they meet each other, and they just like perfectly captured, you know, what folks love about this series. It's not, you know, it is a very stylized game, and there's a lot of humor in it, but there's also a lot of heart.
Yeah.
And the stakes really matter to people, and I think they've done a nice job in capturing that. And the fact that we've worked together meant that we could align the game with the movie in a good kind of way. They kind of share the same plot points, like the same bones, but the game expands on it tremendously. You kind of find out, like, well, what happened in between that scene and that scene? Well, you know, they had to go to Gaspar and collect some brains.
Okay. I mean, like, so this is a weird question. It's a CG movie. You guys make video games. Is there any like sharing of assets? Like, I'm
Yeah, we did. I mean, we did a little bit. Like, they did such a fantastic job with, you know, realizing Ratchet and a lot of the characters that, you know, we took some of that. Like, there's always adaptations that have to be made for different reasons. But yeah, like a lot, you know, when you see Ratchet right there in his Galactic Ranger uniform, like in the film, you'll see that. And what's really crazy about it is how well they compare to one another. Like, the film looks outstanding, but I mean, I think the game looks gorgeous as well. Which kind of speaks to that convergence, you know, we were talking about a little bit earlier.
That's really awesome. This looks like a movie from, you know, I mean, like it's there, you know, like we've got it's all so much closer together.
It was like, you know, when we first built this, we looked at it, and there's actually something that we're gonna take a peek at later that people didn't realize at first that it was in engine.
Well, let's take a look. Can we jump over to that, or?
So he's just going to show.
Okay.
We brought the jetpack back.
Okay.
This is like the perfect way to get around a lava planet. I obviously know that from experience. I want to see if so like he's been collecting these brains from these pods, telepathify sacks on the ground, but the real score is to take down like a fully mature telepathopus. I cannot say that word enough, and there's one there. But you'll see like why they actually need the jetpack in here. And if you can just like get a look from like this area that we've added here is huge. It's like by far the largest sort of open exploration planet we've had in Ratchet.
This is incredible. And like, I mean, is it kind of just like you load up the level and then you're free there? Like,
yeah.
That
was our whole thing with these, because a lot of the Ratchet things you might have 2 or 3 missions in a planet, but it's not like that moment-to-moment choice, which is why these are really cool. Like there are 100 of these brains to collect, and how you do it is totally up to you.
Wow. And like, how long has this been in development?
We've been kind of working with them. It really started with the film, so it's been several years that we've been kind of going back and forth and figuring out like what made the most sense, for a next Ratchet. Where's that pixelizer? Oh no, we're out of ammo. That is so inconvenient.
You got a lot of, I'm guessing, a lot of familiar guns returning from the original.
We do. Yeah, there is. Oh, there he goes. So when you do that, you get kind of extra brains.
Oh man.
Everybody wants.
So I'm kind of curious about this. Like you're revisiting a 13-year-old game, and like there is that kind of that chance to really just go nuts, but you don't want to alienate anybody, because this looks insane.
So
oh
yeah,
God,
like this
I'm sorry to like.
I know this is the one that somebody sent a screenshot of this around, and I looked at it and I wrote like, what scene is this from the movie? Because I thought that it was I thought it came from the movie. And then one of the people said, no, this is an in-engine cutscene.
Like, dude, that's the game you're making. Like,
yeah, it's insane.
That's gorgeous. Holy crap, yeah. Yeah, sorry, I was gonna say like.
No, it's okay. I mean, I do the same thing. Okay.
So what determines like what you guys feel comfortable
like what we keep
adding? Like because it's you don't want to just kind of just totally reinvent it, because like that would be. Kind of going
yeah, that would be. I mean, our fans love this game kind of like we do. It's a balance. It's a challenging thing to do, and there's the pixelizer. That's just one of the awesome new weapons.
So
it is. That's the power of the PS4 can make things look really blocky. I remember a time when that was state of the art. Like that would have been amazing. But these days, it takes a lot of horsepower to do it. This guy also has the best dance. So the Groovatron is a returning weapon. This is like my favorite dance ever. And it's always been, you can use that Groovatron on almost anything in the game. But I think what we kind of look at, like we have these sacred cows in Ratchet. We have these things that we know we have to do and we have to honor it. But I think the whole thing is getting the spirit of it right.
Yeah.
Like not just reinventing for reinvention's sake, because the original game, by modern standards, it doesn't have the same fidelity and sophistication as a game that comes out now, but there's so many things about it that are simple and accessible and fun. And so it's kind of like it's just finding a balance point between the two of those.
Yeah, and that's like the mark of a good game, is something that like, it visually it might be underwhelming by current standards, but like mechanically it feels right.
Yeah, I think that we've modernized it in so many ways, but I think it still, captures the spirit. Again, the stories about Ratchet and Clank meeting and like their camaraderie. The stories about gadgets. It's about upgrading weapons. And I think that we've done a nice job in capturing it. Like I'm a Ratchet fan, and I play the heck out of this and enjoy it.
That's so cool. Kind of some of the more recent games, like All for One, was very like heavily co-op. Like, are you exploring anything like that with this one?
This one, like really, we wanted to stay faithful. Like this is a single player, full scope Ratchet game.
Okay, cool.
And it's actually our first since A Crack in Time, which is something a lot of fans have wanted to see. They wanted to see a return to sort of the 10 to 12 hour campaign that they loved in Ratchet. This gave us a chance to do that.
That's great. Like I always kind of tiptoe around asking about length of a game, but it's like we get this kind of deluge of just massive open world games, and it's like I find it really appealing to be like, here's a game where there's levels and there's bosses, and it's like this is a familiar thing. Like this is I dig this, but it also at the same time it looks like a friggin' Pixar movie, like
and dancing bosses. Yeah, like I think that's what makes it. I think that's what makes it work so well. And like I'm doing a playthrough on hard mode last week, and it was like the game is huge. I keep I'll get to a level and be like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot about this. That's right, I have to go here next, which is a good sign.
So when you guys were like making this, were you kind of at the same time revisiting the original and just like and playing through that? Was
oh my gosh, yeah, like that was like our first piece of homework. Our first piece of homework was to watch a rough cut of the film. Read the script and then go back and play that game, and it kind of evolved from there. So I got out. It was the HD collection, so I played it on the PS3.
Man.
And I don't know. You just kind of study it. We took notes and wrote down all the enemies and stuff.
What feels weird? What doesn't work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see it when you're playing. Like, oh man, I remember that. I remember the train.
That's so cool.
We got to make that awesome.
This is looking like weirdly like the best licensed game possible. Like, you guys own the license. It's yours.
It is. It is the game based on a movie based on a game. It's the only the only way you can describe it.
Beautiful. Do you have a tighter release date than spring 2016? Or
no, we're just looking at spring now. The
cool.
film's coming out on April 29th, released by Focus Features in the U.S. International is all going to be around the same time. We're looking to get the game out around then as well.
Awesome. Well, Sean, thank you so much for taking the time to show this off to us. And
thanks.
For the rest of your E3 coverage, keep it right here on IGN.